Hello and welcome to Pro Wrestling Escape, your weekly pro wrestling escape. It is your host, Kyle, and today we are breaking down SummerSlam 2025 from over the weekend. It was a two-night premium live event just packed with brutal spots, shocks, pivotal moments, and one massive return we all know. Here's what's coming up on today's episode: a quick trip back in time with this week in WWE history. We'll give out full reviews of every match from both nights of SummerSlam 2025 and your reactions in our new segment that I finally decided to name The Crowd Speaks. This is where we're going to feature your takes on all the action. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, this week in WWE history. We're going to rewind to SummerSlam 1991. It was deemed the match made in heaven and the match made in hell. Randy Savage Macho Man married Miss Elizabeth on live TV while Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior teamed up against Sergeant Slaughter and his crew. It was one of the most unique SummerSlams ever. I mean, a wedding and a war all in one night. All right, now let's fast forward to 2025. We'll go ahead and start off with night one and give a quick review of the matches. Most of you already know what happened, but we'll go ahead and cover it quickly and then also I'll give my take on what I think of the storyline, if it's going to continue or not. For night one, we have Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. We all know Sami did pull off the win, which in my eyes was kind of a big upset over Kross. It was not the hottest match of the night. I would say the crowd was buzzing maybe early for this one, mainly for Kross. I really do like Sami. It's just becoming stale with him. I don't know what his storyline is going to be. I honestly thought Kross was going to win, and maybe Sami would kind of be on the back burner for a little bit, and Kross would continue to get that slow push. The complete opposite happened. So I really don't know where they're going to go with either of these characters. I feel really bad for. I know most of us out there have been pushing for Kross for months now, and we're like getting very, very minimal, push for it. So we'll see what happens with that. Next, we had Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair versus Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. Now, this is for the women's tag titles. We did ended up having new champs. Bliss and Flair took the belts, officially forming a powerhouse team that we all expected, and which ended Perez and Raquel's run with their titles as the Judgment Day. Overall, solid match. Good storytelling, especially towards the end with Alexa Bliss, accidentally striking Charlotte Flair, but then Charlotte Flair turning back around and kind of helping Bliss so she could put her signature move on Roxanne Perez. And man, I really do love her move. An ode to Bray Wyatt, that is. Next we had was Roman Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Big Bronson Reed. Now, in this match, in the preview, I said it was more of bragging rights, maybe just more of the getting the crowd into it. This did kick off night one, which I thought was a fantastic idea. But in the match, the Bloodlines did stand tall, taking down Breaker and Reed. Although reports say Breaker may have been dinged up during this one, and you kind of see it later in the night, which I'll cover, but he ended up limping pretty good. But there was one moment in the match that I absolutely loved, just Roman Reigns flying over that top rope. I mean, like if you have a photo of it, send it to me. Tag me in it. I got to see it because it is probably just incredible. It was an okay match. Again, no bragging rights, so I'm not real big on that, but it was a crowd pleaser, I guess you could say, for that. Next, we had Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. Now, in my preview, I did say I'm not big into Hollywood or, famous musicians getting into storylines in WWE, especially with like the bigger PLEs like SummerSlam and WrestleMania. However, I think Jelly Roll, he really, really loves the wrestling business. I mean, he himself has said he's been a fan since, I think he said it was like 12 or whatever. Anyways, Jelly Roll, he took some bumps, man. And I give him all the credit in the world. It's I mean, Orton did make history. This was his 17th SummerSlam match, I believe, and it was just a wild celebrity moment. So many great spots, especially Logan doing the frog splash on Jelly Roll through the table from the top of the not even the top rope, just like the top part of the post. I still can't believe Jelly Roll went through a table. And then, of course, McIntyre and Paul ended up winning, which I got that one wrong, but it was entertaining. It exceeded my expectations. The bar was set low, however. I'm not big into those matches, but again, Jelly Roll gets all the credit in the world, and I kind of want to see him come back. That'd be pretty cool to see. Next, we had Tiffany Stratton, the current champion, versus Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship. It was a shorter match. Wasn't the best one on the card. It's Stratton ended up retaining. She looked strong, I guess, giving Jade her first big WWE loss on a PLE on a big stage like that. The match itself, I don't know if they're just not a good mix in the ring together, or they just maybe didn't have enough time to train together. It just did not look. My bar was set pretty high for this match, and it just under delivered for me personally. But yeah, hopefully, we'll see with this storyline where it goes. I obviously Stratton retains, and then with Jade, I don't know if she's gonna potentially go towards Naomi or if Belair gets to the picture. We'll have to see on that. And then the main event for night one, we had Gunther versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, my expectations are very high for this match. I will say they both just tore it up. I mean, just hard hitting, dramatic. Punk, I mean, I think he needs to get more credit than people give him. To hang with Gunther like that, and then him actually winning was an incredible moment. I think I saw a meme out there. It was like 5 minutes and 10 seconds until boom, Seth Rollins' music hits. We all know he came out on crutches with that heavy knee brace just to kind of stare at CM Punk, and then turned around, act like he's about to walk back in, and then threw the crutches. And man, after that, took the knee brace off, started running down the ramp, and wow, just started beating the crap out of Punk with the briefcase, and then did his move. Next thing you know, 1, 2, 3, and he walked out as the new champ. It was definitely the biggest shock of the night. I will say a lot of people out there, maybe for those of you that were listening, you kind of expected Seth Rollins to come back, even though. But that's the thing. WWE wasn't like, oh, Seth Rollins is going to be out for 6 to 8 months like they typically do for a real injury, and it obviously ended up being a work. I think it was a work that we all hoped for. I don't think anybody wanted Rollins to be out 6 to 8 months, just the way that storyline was just going so well, and I think even though some of us expected it, I think the payoff was awesome, especially to cap off night one. Night two. Now, going through the match card just on paper, night two, just the bar was set so high. Every single match was basically a no DQ for the most part. And I like how night one was like a good warm up. It was for the crowd. And then night two, I think, just really delivered. So, like, for the first match, it kicked it off Naomi, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. Solid match. We all know that Naomi retained. I picked Rhea. Looking back, it's kind of a dumb pick. Naomi is not going to drop it that soon. But just the way Naomi won, and I was actually shocked that Rhea took the pin, even though it's just a quick roll up and a clever counter. But I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to read some people are thinking Rhea Ripley she needs to kind of be on the back burner for a title shot and think of something else for her. I think it's hard to do that with somebody of her stature and her crowd pop. But then again, we have other wrestlers that are super, super popular that are not getting, the push that we all want. So be curious to see where she goes. Same with Io Sky. Crowd loves her. She may continue to feud with Naomi, but we'll have to see on that. Next, we have the six-pack TLC match for the WWE Tag Team Championship. I gotta admit, this was the match circled. Like, I was ready for this. I'm a sucker for TLC matches, and it absolutely delivered and then some. Just pure, incredible chaos. Obviously, the ladders, the tables, the chairs, and just the huge spots all around. I mean, Candice LeRae, let's talk about her for a quick second. Taking that brutal bump onto and through a ladder. I mean, there was a moment I think of like 30 seconds of just pure mayhem of, wrestlers going through tables, kind of like when Bubba Ray, Matt Hardy went through those stack of tables back in the day. This could have been possibly the match of the weekend in terms of just you you're just glued to the TV. You're waiting for that next spot. And to be honest, I didn't think sometimes you watch matches and you're like, oh, see, they're already waiting for that person to get to this next spot, this spot, and that spot. I didn't feel that way, probably because there's just so many wrestlers out there at once and seeing all the chaos. But the Wyatt Six obviously did retain. I think that was the right direction. And then later on that night, it seemed as if Street Profits in an interview backstage, maybe hinting at a split, maybe a potential feud. We'll have to see where that one goes. Next, you have Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental title. Again, this was a no DQ match. Brutal. I mean, those both Becky and Lyra, I'm sure, are very bruised up. We'll probably see them this week on Raw, and they'll probably wrestle again. But of course, the match itself was too long for me. Becky held on to the belt. Bailey came out and kind of indirectly screwed Lyra, but the pacing of the match kind of held it back from being great. I think it was a good match, not great. And I think it was just a little too long of a match. Next, we had the cage match. We had Solo Sikoa, current U.S. title champ, versus Jacob Fatu. Now, I was excited for this match. Absolutely excited. It was going to be physical. It's going to be brutal, but it was not as good as I expected. Solo retained. I think the crowd was kind of out of it too. I thought it would deliver more. I don't know. Maybe cage matches are slowly becoming a thing of the past. At one point, they were trying to pin each other inside of a cage, and historically, you either climb out of the cage or the ref opens the door for you. You can get out that way. But to add in the pinning element, I don't know. But the match underdelivered for me, and I don't know if it was because of the two wrestlers or just cage matches maybe aren't really a thing anymore, or shouldn't be. The next match was probably the match that I did not care for at all. It was Dominic Mysterio, current champion for Intercontinental, against AJ Styles. What happened is what we expected. Dirty Doms snuck out the win over AJ Styles, and it's definitely an feeling, I think, for most fans as well. And I think it was right before the main event, which everybody was waiting for. So maybe more people were going to the restroom, more people were getting food and drink. That could have been it. But even just for me at home, I was kind of ready for that match to end. But in terms of that storyline, I don't know where it's going to go. I think Dirty Dom's going to move on. I'm not sure about AJ Styles, what they're going to do with him. I can't see this feud continuing, maybe, but who knows? That's the beauty of it. It's unpredictable. We'll just have to see how it plays out. And for our main event of night two, John Cena, current champion, versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed championship street fight. I gotta say, this match definitely exceeded my expectations and then some. Cena looked great. I'm kind of sad this is it for him because physically inside the ring, he's proving that he's nowhere near done. And maybe he won't be. Maybe this is just like a Mark Henry situation. I only have 10 dates left, but I'm not really done. I don't know. I'm hoping, but Cody went full edge, even hitting a banned pile driver, which at that point to me teased kind of a little bit of a heel turn. But just there's so many incredible spots, like Cena using the Cody Vader, bringing him up on his shoulders, going out into the crowd. It was really good. I was a huge fan of that match. But we all know what happened. Cody ended up taking the title from Cena, winning. And then after the match, Cody left the ring. Cena's looking around, kind of saying thank you to the crowd. And as he's about to get out, that guitar riff that everybody knows. Brock Lesnar returned and then obviously came down the ramp, stared at Cena, and just attacked Cena with an F5, closing the show with just pure chaos and kind of overshadowed the torch passing moment between Cena and Cody. But safe to say, we know the next feud for John Cena is going to be, however, it will be without a title. But I think they'll make that feud. I mean, it's one of Cena's best feuds of all time. So to reignite that one more time, really looking forward to that. In our next segment, The Crowd Speaks. It is time for The Crowd Speaks. It is your reactions to SummerSlam 2025. This week, I reached out to some of you to get your thoughts on SummerSlam, and here's what you had to say in your own words. First up, we have at Alt Wrestling Worlds. SummerSlam as a whole was better than I thought. The top three moments for me were Brock returning, Rollins cashing in, and Cena and Cody embracing. went on to say that Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and the Jelly Roll RKO, the Randy Orton match was good within reason. Roman's match, tag match felt like an afterthought. Then again, I think he's leaving to film for Street Fighter. That's a really good point. And then Alt Wrestling Worlds went on to say, so when is Cody leaving to film Street Fighter? LOL. That's a great point. I don't know. I mean, Cody's a fighting champion. He's not one to really take time off, but maybe this might be the time he does, where he's kind of here for a week, gone for a week, here for a week, gone for a week. So we'll have to see. That's a good call out. Next up, we have at Rocky underscore Skelton. Until Brock returned, the whole thing felt flat to me. Okay. The face turn, the possible Cody heel turn, and then nothing. I get that. The whole Cena turning face really just was like a switch. And then Cody possible heel turn didn't happen. I think well, I was kind of expecting it, but sometimes I like being wrong. So we'll see if at some point that heel turn does take place. Rocky also said it was kind of weird. I figured Seth was going to cash in. Honestly, I never believed the injury story because, well, Seth didn't react the way people react when they blow out a knee. That's fair. Six tag teams is about four too many for any match. There was a lot. There was a lot going on. You're looking left, you're looking right, looking up, you're looking down. It's a lot. And Rocky said also, please get rid of the Wyatt Six. At this point, they're ruining Bray's legacy, in my opinion. You know, I think so too, mainly because of Bo Dallas and the Uncle Howdy. It's like he just took over Bray's spot. They really didn't transition him into a different person. Almost like they just said, all right, here, you're going to be Bray Wyatt. So I kind of agree with that. Good call out on that, Rocky. Jelly Roll tried his ass off. Yes, he sure did. Jacob Fatu is by far my current favorite. I can get on board with that. Jade Cargill is terrible. I've said for 3 years now, either push her like Goldberg or send her to LFG to start over. Yeah, her matches are just really hard to watch. I mean, I know she's a physical specimen. We all get that. She has the look. She's not bad on the mic, but the in-ring work, it's tough to watch. Rocky also went on to say, I feel bad for Karrion Kross. Like, I legit feel bad for that dude. The Triple H segment was cold. Yeah, so I remember that with Triple H. The fans were chanting, we want Kross. And he said something like, oh, they want Brock. No, that wasn't true. But the standout moment by far was Brock. I want him and Jacob Fatu down the road. Hell yes. Let's get that going. I want to see that so bad too. That would be incredible. Thank you for that, Rocky. Next, we have at Stealth Pro Wrestling. Now, the people I'm shouting out, this is on Instagram. At Stealth Pro Wrestling had said, probably my favorite match and moment from SummerSlam was Cena versus Cody. My favorite moments were all the attitude adjustment spots, like the one off the turnbuckle. Yes, the one onto the announce table. Ooh, that was a good one. And of course, Brock Lesnar returning and giving Cena the F5. Yep, absolutely. The Triple H has been really, really good ending on a high note, whether it was, night one obviously with Seth and then night two with Lesnar. And it's Triple H has that down pat. That's safe to say. Next up, we have at Roman Reigns cosplayer. I'm happy they didn't focus on Cardi B too much. Yeah, I had my parents over too, watching it, and my dad, of course, older, was like, "Who's this?" I was like, "Yeah, just hopefully this is the only time we see her." Uh, at Roman Reigns cosplayer went on to also say, "I knew Seth was kayfabe the whole time. I felt Jelly Roll should have gotten hurt, and either Joe Henry or even LA Knight should have tagged in for him since they were a no call, no show, which did suck." That's actually a great, great observation. And honestly, that should have happened. That would have been the crowd pop would have been huge. I know everybody, was not everybody's people really enjoyed Jelly Roll, but when he walked off like that, that was the perfect moment. That's a great, great call out by Roman Reigns cosplayer because imagine LA Knight's music hitting or just Joe Henry. Ooh, that would have been okay. Maybe you need to submit a resume to a creative because that would have been. And then Roman Reigns cosplayer went out to say Brock coming back was great, but I need to see the purpose for him to get at Cena. And Cena is a face that was quick. I don't want to see another Brock who came for Cody in almost the same way. For the most part, everything else seemed pretty decent. I give it a strong 7 out of 10. I like that. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. All right. I think I have time for one more. We have at Good Job Cobb. Night 1, I love seeing Roman do a high-risk move, diving to the outside. Yeah, that was incredible. Something he doesn't have to do, but I'm glad he did. That's nail on the head right there. Roman doesn't have to do any of that, and honestly, he probably shouldn't, but I am glad he did too because you have that small percentage out there that would say, "Oh, he's just gonna show up and collect the paycheck." Not that night, he didn't. He gave it his all. I also love seeing him and Jay having fun in the ring together, like when Roman pushed Jay out of the way and just ate the spear. That's very, very true. I couldn't believe they let Stratton go over on Cargill. I thought they were building Cargill to be unstoppable until she hit Belair or Naomi. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the cash in. Some fans think it's a lazy call. I'm looking forward to what should be a pissed off CM Punk chasing after Rollins. Yes, yes, yes. I think I've said this on so many different posts on Instagram and social media. Like the feud is just starting. I know it's been going on for a few years now. In the real world, they both hate each other or did. I'm sure at this point they're fine. They deal with each other. But yeah, the feud is just starting, and now there's a title involved with it. This is just it's going to be really good. Good job. Cobb also went on to say maybe an opportunity for LA Knight to get a championship match, considering he beat Seth not too long ago. I like that as well. Maybe we could do a little triple threat angle there at one of the PLEs. And then night 2, that TLC match was insane. All the carnage in that Spanish fly off the turnbuckle through the tables is crazy. I couldn't believe they did that. Not only they were about to do, I thought for sure uh, they were gonna get out of that and not actually do it. But to see that, like I was frozen. I was stunned. Also went on to say I'm happy the Wyatts retained. The main event was everything I wanted from a legend versus a legend in the making. They used weapons just enough, brawled through the crowd, and it felt like wrestling in the 90s again. Totally agree with that. Cena and Cody showed each other so much respect at the end, which I did love. I was worried about someone turning heel, but it didn't happen. Then, of course, Brock shows up to attack Cena. It made sense why Cena had flipped back to a face so quickly. Yep, just to get ready for that next feud. Absolutely right. SummerSlam this year, better than Mania. Whew, okay. I actually agree with that. I was thoroughly entertained. Night 1 was great. Night 2 was even better. And here we are in the middle of the week, and I'm still feeling that hangover effect. Not from drinking, just from it was an action-packed weekend, but it was 2 nights in a row. I wasn't even there. I was on my couch, so I can't imagine people that physically went both nights. They're probably still recovering. All right, overall, SummerSlam 2025 gave us emotional storytelling, shocking moments like Cody hitting that banned pile driver, and of course, Brock Lesnar returning to put Cena down. A lot of fans had mixed feelings on some matches, like myself, but the consensus was that SummerSlam did deliver. Well, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Pro Wrestling Escape and our YouTube page. And go ahead and leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Again, it really helps keeps this escape growing. Thank you so much. We'll talk next week.